in our teeth. Yeah, like, see, I think we're already live, so we can
we actually enjoy talking to each other.
exactly. No, we don't hate each other's guts. We're really frenemies. Everybody should know that. It's our deep, dark secret. Okay, we are live. I can see it under there. There we go. We are now streaming. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited we're back. Last week we weren't here because I was doing my 5 days of Curb Your Guilt, and we got through that. And I have to say, for anybody who hasn't joined us on one of these Thursday lives yet, we have wine, we unwind as well from the week, because I always like to think of Thursday as Friday, because we all work hard.
It's Friday Eve.
It is Friday Eve. And what I love about this, for those of you who haven't joined us, I'm Allison Jacobson. This is Karen Sakowitz, and we go live and we talk about things that are relevant to people in midlife. Inspirational stories of everyday women who are crushing it, people who can give us advice about nutrition and health and everything else. I think we're gonna have somebody about midlife sex at some point. We're gonna have to find a Dr. Ruth.
But sorry, just have.
Oh my God, she is?
I don't know.
Dr. Ruth? All right, can anybody look and see if Dr. Ruth is still alive? How funny would that be? She's gotta be like 100.
I think so. And also that it means we're middle age and we have conversations that involve the sentence, is she still alive?
Exactly. That is pretty bad, but that's okay, right? So I want to get right to it, because we started talking about this. I started talking about this in Facebook of, I've wanted to talk to Tara forever. So I've known Tara, as some of you know, my daughters do all-star cheer, and I've known Tara through the all-star cheer world. And then her husband, Quincy, is also amazing, but we're only talking about women. And when I started talking about women who are getting past their fears and obstacles and everything that life has thrown us, all the craziness, and achieved amazing things as a next chapter, man, freaking Tara comes to mind. And then Karen, as coincidentally, interviewed her for a magazine article.
Right, and the article was about people trying new things past the age of 40, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting, because there were physical things, and someone who did stand-up comedy for the first time, and then Tara was just, her story was so phenomenal about just kicking her own butt and being a badass.
So yeah, so I would, I follow Tara on Facebook, and I'd be sitting there in my mornings, or even like the best was, and we'll talk about this, Tara, but I'd be like scrolling through, I'm like, oh yeah, there's Tara doing a 50K as I'm like drinking my coffee in the morning. Oh yeah, there's Tara, like, Spartan, looking like Sheena the Barbarian, and I'm just like, meditating and just being a blob. But she inspires me, and I always write like, oh my God, you're my hero, and keeps me going. So Tara, I'm so glad you're
on. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
My crazy expeditions, and
oh my God, it's amazing. And hey, also, if anybody, first of all, if you're on, say hi. Because we are watching on our phone, so say hi. If you have questions, if you have comments, post them. Would love to do it. Would love to have those comments. Karen's looking.
Dr. Ruth is still alive.
Dr. Ruth is still alive.
This just in.
Wow.
Oh,
she really is?
Hey, Jen is here.
Hey, Jen. I'm so glad you're on. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So we have to look in 2 different places, but that's okay. We're just...
Pretend we're teenagers.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm going there right now. Yeah, see, I wish I could do it like a teenager, and I
know, I can't. But what's cool about, Tara, we're talking about the Spartan races and everything, is that it's sort of a footnote, but when we talk to all these people, like even like Jen that we talked to with the millions of kids.
Oh yeah.
Like it's very easy to go, oh my God, that person is just incredible. I could never do that or be that or whatever. But then when you hear it, like Tara, you started out, I think, with an illness before you even ran, and you started out at 40, or why don't you, I don't want to tell you.
Yeah, so let's jump in, because
like badassness, but relatable.
Exactly, badass. And that's why, like, I think that it's great to hear from celebrities and everything, but that doesn't resonate, because you're like, oh, well, they have a personal trainer, or they have like a nanny and all that stuff. And but everyday people are doing it. So I'd love you to start with, and I know your story, but I'd love you to share how you started as a single teen mom. Like, oh my God.
So yeah, so I was a senior in high school, and I was, my ultimate plan had been to go to college, go to law school, and I always, in my mind, it was like, oh, I'm gonna have kids at like 40, and I'm gonna have a nanny, and this is my master plan. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. I had my daughter right after senior graduation, senior year graduation. I was told, pretty much everyone abandoned me at the moment. My friends, my parents weren't very happy with me. I ended up leaving and living on my own in a unfinished basement apartment with just the money I had saved as, working through high school. Didn't have to spend money because my parents pretty much gave me everything. So I just saved it. So I just I basically was on my own. The school told me they didn't want me there. And they really said it would be a negative influence on the school. So I was able to graduate with the class, but I couldn't be present throughout the process of, finishing my second semester of senior year. And, my friends most of them had told me I was going to amount to nothing. They told me I was going to be a welfare mom.
Wow.
So I kind of fueled the fire at, a very early point where I had to stand up for my convictions. It's what I had believed was the right thing to do. No one else did at the time, but I thought it was the right thing to do. And I lived my life with the motto of no regrets. And when I sat down and thought about it 10 years from then, like at the age of 27, what was I going to look back and think of what I did? Was I going to be proud of it, or was I going to be, ashamed of it and really sad? So that's kind of what fueled it. And I graduated from high school. I had Vanessa. I went out looking for a job. I got a job making $5 an hour, which barely
with the baby.
With the baby, which barely paid for anything. I took a bus 2 hours each way to work. I used to walk her through the very bad neighborhoods to get to her daycare. But that's what I did. I did what I had to do at that moment. I was able to go get enrolled in college. I eventually was able to I worked my way up through this company, thank goodness. I was able to get full-time work, benefits, which was all I cared about, health insurance for her. And I worked full-time, went to school full-time, and I had this, little girl toting around with me. We joked that she should have gotten an honorary degree because she came to so many classes.
And thank God your professors were okay with that, right?
She was so good. I gave her munchkins and a chocolate milk, and she was good for like 3 hours. I swear, God bless me with this child that would sleep till 9 a.m. She wouldn't make a peep in like a 3-hour business law class. Like she would color, she would play, she would eat at the age of 3. I mean, she was just hanging out, doing her thing. And she was the most easygoing kid. So I was a blessing. But I was able to, graduate. I got my degree, got a job in corporate, and just, kind of scratched my way up through the ropes to try to make sure that I could afford to send her to college.
Right. And then you had more kids.
I did. I had Whitney the year I graduated from college because I knew I wanted to have one more, and I didn't want it to impinge upon, my career path. So I had Whitney, and I ended up getting a great job in a small company. And I worked my way up, and I got an amazing, amazing job. So I was
incredible.
able to, be able to, support my family, prepare for college, all of those things. But it was hard. I mean, it was hard. It was 6 days a week of classes.
How did you get yourself through those nights where you must have had them of saying, I can't do this anymore. I'm just exhausted. How did you get yourself through?
There was honestly that never crossed my mind. The thing that I couldn't do it because I had no choice. I had to do it. I had a child depending on me. I mean, I had to do it. It was bigger than me. It was about her. I had to be able to, get myself to a place where I could take care of her by the time she was, going to school, 5 years old. I'd find a place where I could live where she could go to school. And, be able to send her to college in 18 years. I mean, that goes by really fast. Like everyone thought when they saw me with her that I was her nanny in most cases at school functions. Because, it goes by very quickly, those 18 years.
And it's, you know, it's incredible when you think about those friends of yours who said you were going to amount to nothing. And most likely the responsibility and the maturity you had at such a young age versus them is the exact opposite.
Right.
It's pretty ironic because it was pretty interesting at the 20-year high school reunion.
Oh, wow.
The expressions and the like, oh wow, yeah. It was pretty interesting because you know the playing field levels a bit.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
by that point. So
Yeah.
it was nice to see everyone, and it was nice to see that, you know, we all survived.
Everybody has their story, but you made it. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was good. I feel like it shaped who I am today.
Oh, I'm sure. And then you had your health issues.
Yeah. So at 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was blindsided after I had Luke, my fourth. I had no idea. I had absolutely no. I didn't even see the tumor. Someone else saw it on me. I was, you know, I was working full time. I had the 4 kids, 2 under 2, and I only took 3 weeks maternity leave, so I was exhausted. And everyone thought it was nothing, and it ended up being something. And it was a really scary moment because I had these 4 little children, and I didn't know if I was going to be around for another year.
Mm.
So, you know, everyone said surgery, do this, do that. And I kind of just like froze. I told everyone time out. I need to figure out what I want to do. So I did eventually have surgery about 6 months later when the tumor was ginormous.
Wow.
And we thought I was okay. And about 10 years later, there was an incident that happened, and there were little incidents along the way that once they looked back, it made sense, but nothing really made sense going into it. There were like little moments of like where I'd have like issues with memory, confusion, and they just chalked it up to being busy and having a lot of kids and having a crazy schedule. They did CAT scans and they really didn't see anything that made sense. But I got a concussion, and what happened was it caused my body to attack my brain.
Wow.
And they couldn't, well, they eventually did somewhat figure out why, but the process, it was really scary because I've never lost blocks of time and memory.
Yeah.
I had had an affinity at my job, which was very stressful to begin with, to remember facts, figures, numbers. It was very financial driven. So I wasn't sure of myself, which was the worst feeling because I didn't know if I was remembering things correctly, or I couldn't remember. So they eventually came to the bottom of it and said, you know, we don't know what's going to happen to you because you could be 100 times worse a year from now. We want to put you on medication and put you on all this, you know, immunosuppressants and things like that. And I walked out of there and I was like, I'm done. I'm not coming back.
Wow.
And I made a bucket list, and Spartan was number 1. So
Wow.
I did the Spartan race.
So, you know, it's interesting because, and we talked about this a little bit. I mean, single mom, cancer, all of this, a lot of people would have just crawled under a rock and given up. And you had the courage and also the self-awareness to walk out of that doctor's office. And were people at that point saying, no, you're making the wrong decision?
Oh yeah, everyone. My parents, they think I'm crazy. They just know I'm stubborn. I'm very stubborn. But if I'm convicted in what I'm doing, like if I truly believe that what I need to do is the right thing for me, then that's what it's got to be, regardless of what the shortfalls may be.
Right.
But I took a chance because what they were telling me, I didn't want to hear. I was like, I don't want to be on medication. I'm going to be 40 years old. What does this mean?
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to do all the things that I keep putting off. I wanted to do a Spartan race for like 3 years and I was afraid of it. I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not in shape. I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to do it. And I did it, and it took me forever, and I couldn't walk downstairs for 3 days afterwards, but I loved it. And I decided to kind of, you know, train for it and, you know, do the things I needed to do. I'd never run before. I hated gym.
You'd never run before, and you woke up and said, I'm going to do a Spartan race.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never did a 5K. I hated
my
running in
gosh.
gym. I would avoid it. Gym, I mean, I pay to go run. It's crazy. But it was just those kids, you avoid the gym class because it's, the mile day.
Right. Right.
That was me. But
how did you even
so I
start
signed up for the
training for it?
Spartans, and it was a couple races in. I had signed up. It was a couple of races. I mean, most of the races that you do, if you run in the open group with you can help each other over walls. I couldn't do the walls. I couldn't do a rope. I couldn't do a rig or monkey bars. So I started with the running. That's the biggest obstacle. And I did a Hal Higdon free half marathon training program. And I ran every single day outside here in these crazy hills. And I just followed the program, and I did it one time through. I ran a double header half marathon in that November. And then I kept, I did it again, all over again. And then I realized I had it to strength train. So I started doing CrossFit, and I love CrossFit. Like, I never thought I would ever be able to do a pull-up, like never in a million years. Like, it was impossible. Like, I would hang there like, I can't do this.
And I have to say, that was one of your posts that just blew me away, because I felt that. I felt when you said, I can't do this. And then when you did it, I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it took probably about 2 solid years to get some nice linked pull-ups together. I mean, now I could bang out 100 and, 20 minutes or something. Like, you do them in workouts. But it's just chipping away at it. And it's just the consistency over time. And you don't see big results, right, in 3 months or even 6 months. I mean, I'm now almost 6 years in. And I'm still, learning new things and getting better at new things, and, getting, closer to those goals. Every year I make goals.
And that's a really good point, because I've got a course coming up, From Stress to Success, and really talking about the way you get success is not just having this long-term goal, because you're just going to get burnt out, and you have to have those in-between wins to feel good about yourself.
Those little victories, like, and even if it's just making I make a training schedule at the beginning of the week, because halfway through the week I could be exhausted and be like, I don't feel like doing it. Well, once it's written down in my journal, and once I have this massive blackboard in my training room, once it's on the board, it's got to get done. Like, it's just, that's not an option. I have to, I will guilt myself over it. Like, I see it every time I get on the bike or the rower. So I'm like, oh, got to do it. So I follow the plan, and it's just making sure I hit all those little workouts throughout the week, or, I follow my nutrition program throughout the week, and I stay on track. Like, those are the small victories, and, just doing it. You can't think about it. You just got to do it.
Right. Well, and that's another thing we've been talking a lot about in this group, is the mind clutter, right? Of so much that we have obligations from our husband and our kids and our job and our friends. And how did you, I mean, this is a big commitment. How did you fit this in with work and your kids and everything else? How did you schedule it?
I would schedule, before COVID, I was, part of the big, 5:30 a.m. joyride class. Like, that was my jam. I had my bike, I had my group, it was awesome. I loved it. I would be the one that rolls in at 5:28 every single day. Like, Tara's coming, we know she's coming. And then I would do CrossFit after work. With COVID, I'm really lucky because we've always had a home gym. I just never used it. So with COVID, we kind of ramped it up a little bit. I was able to get some spin bikes, and we got, some other stuff, and we have, full weights. And I really had to be disciplined, like, in my day being at home, like, okay, I have to work out from this time to this time. Then I have to go to work from this time to this time. And that's what I do now. So I'll work out in the morning, for a couple hours, then I go to work, and then I come home and I have like another hour after work that I have to do a program. But it's just, when the kids, if they have something going on, I need this. Oh, you got to wait an hour, dude. I'm sorry.
That's the part that that's the tough part. I mean, well, the whole thing is tough, but you know what I mean? Like
the kids know. I'm like, dude, I'm going to class from this time to this time. I can pick you up here, at this time or this time. Otherwise you got to wait.
And this is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about in my class, because there are so many moms
Yes.
who will give in and not set those boundaries. And it's so important to set those boundaries for yourself.
Do you
Yes,
see,
well,
I mean,
definitely.
do you see a result with your kids? Because I mean, that's the kind of thing that rubs off. And now that they're, you know, teens or older or whatever, I mean, do you see that as
As
something they'll prioritize for themselves?
they do. It's funny because I think I may have created some monsters. um, you know, my son, he wants to play Division I football. So he gets up. He actually lost 75 pounds in the last year.
Wow.
Oh my God.
On his own. I have no hand in it. He went keto. He cooks for himself. He meal preps for himself. He trains at 5 a.m. and then again in the evening. And my other son too. They are both, you know, they work out. They have their own meal plans and nutrition plans, and they've made it a priority in their life. And I only give advice when they ask. Like, I'll be like, dude, you know, you might want to like take a rest day. You know, my shoulder hurts. You need to rest it. But they are, you know, I don't tell them they should do it. You know, they just kind of have started on their own.
I think that speaks to modeling behavior. You know, they always say you can tell people, but it's really what you do and what they see you do.
Speak louder than
Well,
words.
and I think it's also important that they've seen you prioritize you and prioritize your own needs.
Yep. And you know, and it's, you know, eating healthy, and I mean, of course, you have cheat days, and you have, you know, celebrations and things like that. But you know, just seeing how hard they work and not wanting to derail it with certain things. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how it's progressed, especially, you know, with COVID, because we've all been kind of stuck in the house. I've had to make a gym schedule because everyone's fighting over the gym.
You probably have a nicer gym than most gyms around.
True.
It's kind of a meathead boy gym, but it's okay. I just want them to pick up their weights. Like, it went from being not picking up your toys, not picking up your dumbbells and your plate. I'm like, guys, come on, strip your weights. I'm pulling 300 pounds off the bench press, please.
That's hysterical. But and before we got on too, we were talking a little bit about, you know, you've got a choice when you're facing your own mortality, when you're facing these obstacles and challenges of you're either going to do it or you're going to hide under a rock.
No, and the thing is, the time passes. Days pass, and you have so many hours in a day to make something of it, to do something with it. And I feel like every day is such an opportunity. I mean, I've done some of these crazy events, and I have a friend who's this, you know, she's an insane ultra runner, but she's like, I can't find anyone to do it with me. I'm like, what do you want to do? She's like, oh, I want to go here. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, we're road tripping, and she's like, you know, I'm not specifically technically trained to be an ultra runner, but I will go and I will do them with her, and that's what we do. You know, it's a great challenge. It's an interesting it's interesting to see how you can push yourself so far, and how your mind controls so much, because at certain points your mind will just kind of shut you down, or will try to shut you down, and your body can do so much more.
How do you get past that, Tara?
The last time Crystal gave me a kick in the ass.
Literally.
She's like, get up, you're going out there, don't do this, you're gonna be mad at yourself. Because I was like, I had a stress fracture on my foot. I didn't know it at the time, but I just knew I was in an amazing amount of pain. And she was like, you only have 10 more miles to go. She's like, just do it. And I'm like, it was like, you know, 4 a.m. We had run through the night, and I was just zonked. I was like, you know, and she's like, and she gave me this huge guilt trip. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I'm like, I came all the way out here, and we just went out, and, you know, I took a lot of Motrin. Don't recommend it at all. I don't recommend it, but it's what got me through. I mean, I just needed to get through it. But I have to consciously know that my mind is going to trigger at certain points. I just have to be able to develop a mantra. And I usually do have one, like it's like 4 little phrases. And it gets me out of that bad place and back into like a positive place.
I'm sure everybody wants to know share 1 or 2 of those.
I've trained, I'm ready, you know, I can do that. I can do this. I'm strong. And those are kind of like, I'm strong, I'm trained, I'm ready, I can do this. Like, I just kind of like, I will keep going through it. And when I'm in that dark place, you can tell as I'm coming out of it, like with the mantra, how my cadence changes and my body becomes less stressed. Like I can feel the stress kind of just like leave my shoulders as I'm running. And it kind of like, it's like when you're in like a tailspin and you kind of have to like turn into it and you pull out of it. It's kind of like what it feels like. I'm just like, okay, yep, that's averted, back on track. Because once your mind takes you to a dark place, it's, it can get really ugly, and it controls so much, and you can do so much more if you let yourself just kind of like stay positive and just kind of push through it. Even if you slow down, even if you take a break and rest. I mean, take a moment for yourself. If you're having a terrible day, just take like 10 minutes and just kind of like refocus, reframe,
right,
and bring that positivity back. And honestly, just smiling and laughing. It sounds crazy.
No,
but like I'll laugh at myself in most cases. If I'm having a bad day, if I do something, I trip or I fall, or I'm always doing some crazy stuff in the office. I'm tripping over file cabinet drawers that are left open, usually by me. But it's just a way for me to kind of like break it up and just, stay back, keep myself back on track, the track I need to stay on.
And I think that's physical challenges, business challenges, everything. It is that mindset. And I talk about that, of having affirmations and really getting yourself past that, not allowing those limiting beliefs to stop you. Because man, especially as women, we have those limiting beliefs. It's been drilled into us since we were young girls.
But yes, the limits that, you can't do this, or this is too hard for you, or, leave it to the guys to do that. Like, unfortunately, I hear it more frequently than I want to hear it. Like, oh, why do you have so many muscles? Are you trying to be like a guy? Like, it's really annoying.
I can't say I blame you. Yeah.
But it's just kind of pushing out of that and doing whatever you want to do, even if it's not something that you would normally, that, women haven't kind of ventured into.
Right.
Because just because we haven't done it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You just have to kind of push past the naysayers and just kind of like focus on your path and let them all kind of move to the side.
And so you have a fabulous husband who I love and adore. Is this something you always do together, or is this your thing as well?
We started it together, and then like he kind of got a little bit resentful with it.
Interesting.
With the training and stuff, that the time I was spending. And when he realized it wasn't just a fad or a phase, he kind of like was like, okay, fine, do whatever you want to do.
That's great.
He's like, if that's what you want to do and it makes you happy, then do it.
That's great.
But I usually, the races I'm traveling either with one of my race friends or by myself, which is really intimidating. Sometimes you show up to the start line and you're like, okay. And it's, the ultras, it's hard to be by yourself, like, and have like, some people have crews, and I really need to start finding someone who will go out there and just hang out for like 30 hours and feed me and like change my clothes if I need them.
Wow.
People have crews. They have crews that will come in and they will take care of them and, change their clothes and change their shoes and feed them and just so they don't have to think, and they just push them back out.
It's your pit crew.
Yeah, pit crew.
Yes, it's basically a pit crew, but like in most cases we don't have a pit crew, so it's just the two of us, my friend Crystal and I, and it's hard. I mean, and other people's pit crews will like offer stuff and like they'll try to help you, but you need at some point someone just be like, just to like, even if it's just like, okay, just chill, relax, you got this, just some positivity or anything.
Yeah.
So it's tough not having, your people with you at these things. And sometimes in life it's like that, like you're by yourself, and sometimes you just have to kind of walk those paths alone and push yourself through it. You self-support.
Well, and again, one of the things we talk about in this group is you also have to get rid of the people in your life who aren't going to support you and find that tribe who's always going to lift you up, because especially as women, that's so important.
Yes, no, definitely to have a good inner circle of people who will just kind of like listen to you vent, who will support whatever you're looking to do, whether it's, a business venture or go after a new job or a new hobby or whatever it might be. But someone who's just like, yeah, that's an awesome idea. Go for it.
Right. Exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, just to have all that positivity surrounding you makes a world of difference. Because if you have people who are kind of dragging you down, it eventually really wears your whole mental capacity down.
It's so
really
true.
Want to think about venturing out and doing new things. You just think,
Right.
okay, I'm just going to stay and do what I'm doing because I want to avoid the conflict.
Right. Yep. So what's next on your bucket list?
Right now, I'm still going after that elusive 100 miler. I have made 2 attempts. I got to 42 and then 50.
Is that all at once? I
Yeah.
just want to clarify.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do 100K and give myself a little bit of a stepping stone. So I did the 100K in November, which is like 68-ish miles, because I don't know what
Give or take.
Lost. And so yeah, in April I have the 100 miler. And I'm
4
I'm
marathons.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was doing the math. It's like 4 marathons.
Yeah.
not giving up this time. We are gung ho and we're gonna do it. I don't care what I gotta do, but
Oh my God.
I'm gonna get it. And then after that, I am looking at triathlons. I have 2 triathlons coming up, which absolutely scares the heck out of me. And usually that's why I do stuff, because if something really scares me, I have to do it because I don't like being scared of anything.
Love it. Oh my God, I love it.
So I have the 2 triathlons coming up this summer, and yeah, I'm not sure about the fall. I've been doing some smaller like cross style events. I have another day in the fall.
That. Oh God.
I may go bungee jumping or skydiving. Who knows?
No, it's really I
would love to be your pit crew.
Can you be the pit crew?
Totally be the pit crew. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, that'd be so much fun.
The pit crews have bonfires and they have usually lots of alcohol. I think that's
well suited for this job.
I think that's where I went wrong. And I told my friend, I was like, you know what? I think I need to start drinking because I don't really drink. But everyone's drinking Fireballs at like mile 80. And I'm like, I think I'm missing it. I missed the boat here.
Oh God.
You have a goal to get to mile 80 now. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so the 100 miler, I have hopefully some Spartan events. They're not doing them around here, so I'd have to travel. And then I have this crazy race in December. It's 150 miler. But it's like kayak, it's biking, and it's running.
Oh my God.
So
in December though, kayaking.
It's in December.
Nice.
It's in Florida. It's from Miami to the Keys.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. But again, kayak, open water kayaking, not super, great at it, but I'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. That's it. We will just figure it out. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to keep posting pictures of you as you're doing this in April, because this is just amazing. Like, we want to follow along and chronicle.
Get really ugly looking like halfway through.
That's amazing. Where do you start? Where is it in April?
It's in Virginia. It's in Damascus, Virginia.
Okay.
Last time I was down there for the first one, my first attempt at this one, it poured for the entire time I was out there. I was out there for about 12 hours, and it just poured. It was really, really grueling. So yeah,
I can't even imagine. Oh my God.
I was like still thinking the mileage. I didn't even think of weather.
Weather, exactly.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's it. The weather was beautiful the day before, and then it poured. So it was just one of those races that you can't control it. And
no, you just have to do it.
do the best
Oh
we
my
could.
gosh.
And at mile 50, I was like, okay, I'm done. That's the mental part of it. Like, I could have gone further probably, but
But at mile 50,
I didn't want to. It was raining so much.
again, how many marathons is that? That's like 2 marathons at mile 50. Oh my God.
So, I mean, that's the other part, is knowing when to call it. And I try to not call it when I don't need to, and to try to, limit my calling it moments in life, like, walking away from stuff. But, it's, you have to know when it's time, and
Yeah.
when you can go a little further.
And to trust your body.
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody has any questions for Tara, I am on, I can look at it. Everybody, we've got people on watching you. Carolyn Barisi's on watching you, Tara.
Carolyn, hey, Carolyn. Miss all the cheer friends.
What?
Miss all the cheer friends.
Exactly. Well, this is unbelievable, and I'm so glad you came on. And what is one piece of advice you would give women in midlife trying to go for their next goal?
Don't be afraid to take the risk. I mean, everything is a risk, but if you're going to look at yourself in 5 or 10 years and say, I wish I did that, or think you might say that, go for it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen is it won't work out. And then I always try to have, like, in the back of my mind, like a plan B. Like, if this doesn't work out, then I'm going to have to do this. In my corporate career, I got to where I wanted to go, and I realized that it wasn't where I wanted to be. Like, I had this great job with, all of these things, great salary. I was a director at like 38, which is like, in a company like that, a male dominated company, to be a female director at, under 40 was, a big deal for them. But I turned out like I missed out on so much with my kids. I had no flexibility. And it was somewhat of a toxic work environment, to put it bluntly. They had no regard for family, for children, or you couldn't say anything about family. And I realized that that's not where I wanted to be. And I said, you know what? I'm going to find something else. And I found like a stepping stone to a place. I would call it a placeholder. It was a job that wasn't terrible. It was a nice company. And I could have been a great job, but they ended up taking over another company. And I told them, I suggested that, the person who I shared the role with had more experience. And I said, well, she obviously has more experience. I ended up finding something else. Something else came along, and I found a job in an amazing company, a small company, doing the same job, but actually seeing that I can make a difference.
Great.
And with flexibility and, great regard for family and all those things. So you have to kind of take the risk and kind of have a little bit of a backup, but be able and willing to take the risk and know that you can make it work. It should, it will work out. However, it fall, the cards fall, it will work out. But you kind of just being in a place where you don't want to be, being unhappy, with your kids, you don't have the luxury of making up that time. So if it's flexibility with the job, where you can't, you can't prioritize your children. There's always things where work's going to come up, but if there's no work-life balance, if they just want you to be there 24/7 or be on call 24/7, and you have young children and you're absolutely miserable, it's not worth it.
I agree.
I mean, I made lifestyle changes. I got rid of a big truck. I drove a Prius for a while. I did what I had to do. I was like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to have to make some changes, and then, it will work. It could work. And
I think that's important. And I talk about that too, is how badly do you want it?
Yeah.
If that goal is not a passionate why, you're not going to stick with it. You've got to want it.
You have to, because it's not about motivation. It's really about discipline when it comes down to it. And you have to really be disciplined enough to make the changes necessary to make it happen.
Yeah.
On a consistent basis. It's that's
But it's
just
worth it, right?
yeah, definitely. Definitely. If it's what you want, you
Yep.
can get anything. And I tell my kids this, you can do anything you want to do. You just have to work for it.
Yep, exactly. Tara, you have been amazing. Thank you. Thank you
Oh,
so
thanks
much
for
for
having
coming
me.
on. Oh, this was wonderful. And everybody, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening and take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Tara.